I noticed in looking at your organization, and I went a little bit further. It's happening tomorrow at in Manassas City at Nelson Park, and then you're walking Grant Avenue to the Prince William County Courthouse. And you're very clear on your page about how this is peaceful, and we're doing this in the First Amendment spirit of the First Amendment, and on and on. And it sounds like a great thing that you're doing to show support for the men and women in blue. How did you come up with this idea?
So I have a sister in law enforcement in Virginia Beach. My father is a retired D.C. police officer, et cetera. I have a lot of law enforcement in my family. And I just was hearing stories about, her putting on riot gear and her friends working, 6-hour days, 18-hour days. And it was just very frustrating for me to know that they were still working that hard and people were giving them such a bad rap. Because I know there's great police officers and men and women in uniform. So I got with some girlfriends and I said, we got to do something. And so we had our first march in Washington, D.C. about 2 weeks ago.
Melissa, do you have a sense of what that bad rap that you just referred to has done to morale among police officers?
I do. So there's a lot that are retiring. There are a lot that, as you saw, I think in Atlanta, that everybody called out sick one day. And, there's people that are kind of just fed up of being lumped into one or several bad situations.
Yes.
And, their morale is pretty low. When we marched in D.C., though, they were so appreciative. I believe some of the officers were tearing up because they didn't have any support from anybody. And that was a time in the same day where there was a Black Lives Matter march going on. So.
Sure.
Because it has gone national. If you go to WeBackBlue.com, you have there's a march in Baltimore coming up July 4th, Milwaukee to be determined, Trenton, New Jersey, July 9th, Dallas, Napa, and on and on and on. So this grew very, very quickly for you. How do you handle this? This is. I love the success of this. I love that people want to do this. Did people just come to you and they're just using your name of your organization and they're going to do it themselves? How are you handling this?
So I have a great team. I have a lot of volunteers that kind of said, I want to help. What can I do? So I have Rebecca who does kind of a lot of my admin stuff and helps me get the Eventbrite links going for people that want to sign up for the newsletter, et cetera. I have somebody helping with my social media and on and on. I mean, it just takes a village. It takes a team of people to kind of get everything together. So that's been the easiest way to manage. We take donations so that I can put together a kit if I can't be at the event myself, which for Dallas, I think I am flying to. And New Jersey, I will be there. So there's a lot of them that I can make it to. But the ones that I can't, I put together a kit for them. And, they just do them themselves.
Yeah, no, you're a rare person because there's not a lot of people willing to express their support for police right now. Although the reality is, Melissa, that there should be more who express their support for police. And even the cops, if you ask a cop what they think of the killing of George Floyd, of what took place in that video, uniformly the response from police nationwide has been one of disgust towards what happened there. So I guess one of the ironies of this, Melissa, is what you have is a movement of people, some who are doing this peacefully, others who are not, who are arguing that they don't want to be judged on the basis, or nobody should be judged on the basis of as a group. They should all be judged as individuals. Why can't cops expect the same thing, that they be judged as individuals?
Absolutely, and I'm glad you brought that up because the difference between what I'm doing and what other groups are doing is I'm making sure that we're not saying Blue Lives Matter, because I think that's a separating point to make. I don't want people to think that we're saying Blue Lives Matter over other lives. Nobody's arguing that Black Lives Matter at all. Nobody thinks that what happened isn't disgusting. I'm not saying that. But what I do know is that there's amazing men and women in uniform that are still out there every single day, that are blocking the roads for these BLM marches and defund police marches, and they're still out there doing it and protecting people, and They don't deserve to be treated horribly.
No, they don't, and which is why I really like the idea of this movement. I think it is necessary, and I love that you're doing this. Are you getting pushback from any organizations, though?
I am. The one we did in Napa had quite some pushback from BLM. They went, they threatened, and we have a lot of threats from people, which it's fine. I don't back down. So that's one thing that I will say is that I will never back down. So they can threaten all they want to, but at the end of the day, it's a bunch of keyboard warriors and people that really don't have any, investment one way or the other. So it's very important to me, and I I don't, unless it's an imminent threat from the police and they say, this is really serious, you have to look into this, and I don't pay attention. We marched down 7th Street in the middle of Washington, D.C. while Black Lives Matter events were going on, and no one bothered us.
Yeah, it's again one of the ironies of all of this is that like the group that's basically saying we need to stop oppression decides that oppression is going to be a tool that they wield, right? So it's like we're going to threaten you for daring to say, hey, we should support the police. It's one of the things I was really struck by personally, Melissa, is I ran into a police officer recently, a listener, who told me that he was a listener, excuse me, and that he enjoyed the show, and I was grateful for that. But then he told me that he was a cop. And you should have heard how quietly he had to whisper. We were in a public place. He whispered to me that he was a cop. That stunned me. That you have to be in a position where you can't even admit your occupation out loud for fear of what people around us will hear.
Right. Absolutely. It's disgusting. I won't stop until that curbs, because I just don't think that this is deserved. I mean, you look at David Dorn. He gave 40 years of his life to law enforcement, and was left on the side of the street to die like a piece of trash. I mean, it was just horrible. And honestly, that impacted me the most of all of this. Actually, his death is what sparked in me to say, all right, not enough. This is not okay. This is just not okay. So I also want to say, you can support Black Lives Matter and you can support police. There are people of color in the police force. There are people out there every day that, it's just the stigma is horrible, and that's the thing I'm trying to change.
Yeah,
this idea of it has to be one or the other, I think, is really unhealthy and very dangerous.
Yeah.
And you're trying to combat that, and we thank you for that. So the rally is tomorrow in Manassas at Nelson Park is the rallying point from 2 to 4, and they will be going down Grant Avenue to Prince William County Courthouse, and of course, and everything's on your webpage. If you go to WeBackBlue.com, you can just click on the Manassas rally and get all the information there. Thank you so much for what you do, and best of luck with everything. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
7:44 on WMAL.